All right, guys, welcome to our first Friday art project. I've missed doing this so much. Right now you're looking at your screen and you see these are the supplies that you're going to need. And because I understand that not everybody has every supply, we're going to try to keep it simple each Friday. Hopefully everybody has access to some just plain 8.5 by 11 or some kind of paper that you can draw on. You'll need a pair of scissors, some kind of glue, crayons, markers, even if you have watercolor paint. For sure always need a pencil. And I found my favorite pencil sharpener, these metal kind, they work really well. Okay, so I want to explain what we're doing today. Remember in the fall we made our ugly dolls, and about 4 or 5 years ago, one of my students, he got so excited about the ugly dolls that he went home over the weekend and he made, just with paper, a bunch of little creatures out of paper. So today I'm going to kind of show you a couple ideas, and then I'm going to guide you through one of them, and maybe you can try some different things. So let me show you what I have. What I did was I just took plain white paper and I made like a little, kind of a little dinosaur. I also made, I don't know if this is a cat or what, but they don't have, obviously you don't have to be perfect. And then what I'm going to show you today and guide you through is a sun. And we're going to cut this out and stuff it. And it's going to be really cool when you're done. And then who knows what you might end up making. Okay, so what you're going to need to do after you're probably going to want to pause to get all your supplies ready. So again, pencil, some kind of glue. If you don't have any glue, but you have tape or even a stapler is okay, although that's my last choice. So these are the supplies that you're going to need, and hopefully you have a pair of scissors. So you might want to pause now and gather your materials. Remember, it's always nice to do your artwork in a kind of a nice, tidy spot so that you can just focus on your artwork and not a mess. Okay, let me get this out of the way. All right, so what you're going to want to do first, I'm just taking a couple sheets of the white paper, and I've got my pencil. And you do want to try to use up as much of the paper as possible. You want to make your little creature as big as you can on the paper, because when you go to stuff your creature, it's just a lot easier if it's not too tiny. So I'm going to show you how to draw the little kind of dinosaur guy. All I did was I came in and I made a head, and then I try to kind of make sure that I use up, like I said, as much of the paper as I can. And again, you're going to want to start out drawing lightly because obviously you're going to want to maybe make some changes. And you don't have to make a dinosaur. You can make any creature that you want. And I'm going to give this little guy an eye. And of course, kind of a smiley, happy face. If you want, you can pause and kind of copy what I did here. I'm going to do a little bit of erasing. Okay, so there's that. And then Like I said, if you need to pause, go ahead. Then the next thing that I made was this little guy. So it started out on paper like this. And notice again that I used up as much of the paper as I could. Okay, so in order to get ready for this art lesson, I wanted to go work ahead a little bit so I could show you. After you are done drawing and you feel like you have what you like, then go over your lines with pencil a little bit darker, and then you can color. In fact, I would color before you cut your creature out or whatever you're making, because that way, even if you go outside the lines, it doesn't matter because you're going to be cutting this out anyway. So what you do then, after you draw, color, and cut your creature out, if you absolutely do not want to color, some kids just prefer pencil, then go ahead and flip the top over. Remember, when you cut this out, you need to cut 2 pieces of paper out at the same time. So you've got your mirror image. What you're going to want to do is take your glue, and remember, we always say this at school, a little bit goes a long way. So slide your other shape out of the way, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue kind of close to the edge, almost all the way around. Not all the way though, because we need to have a spot that's open so that we can stuff our little guy, because you need to have a place to stick your hand. And so I'm going to come down about to the bottom. Maybe I'll come down here a little bit too. Okay, then what you do is carefully lift the top, the one that has your drawing, and just kind of bring it on down. Try to line it up as best as you can. If it doesn't seem to be lining up exactly, just pick it up and you can kind of slide your paper over. And then just use the warmth of your hands to kind of rub this. And you know, when we do these art projects, I know that sometimes we want instant gratification. We want to like get to the results right away, but it's really important that you give your little guy time to dry. If you have like a little spot in your house where heat comes out, you could always put this by the heater and maybe it'll dry a little bit quicker. So this one I'm going to set aside to dry. But I'm going to get this guy out because I made him ahead of time, and I glued and I left as you can see, I left an opening. So I can literally stick my hand in there. Now you can see why it's important to try to use as much of the paper as possible, because look how it's a little bit difficult. It's going to be a little bit hard to stuff the ears. But you can use your pencil upside down with the eraser to kind of help shove your stuffing. Okay, now about that stuffing. Honestly, I know that these days it's a little bit hard sometimes to find toilet paper at the store. So I'm just going to say you can either use like paper towel, toilet paper, tissue. You can use paper. Now, if you're going to use some more of the 8.5 by 11 paper, which is what I'm going to do, you're going to want to start kind of ripping and crinkling really well so that you sort of weaken the paper and you make it a little bit softer. And for the places that are a little bit smaller, you're going to want to go a little bit smaller. So I'm really going to take some time to kind of crinkle up my paper, just soften it up a little bit. And you're going to want to stuff the further parts of your, so I'm going to take this, and I'm going to just kind of hang on to it till I get it down to the ear. And, oh yeah, it looks like I don't even need my pencil. I'm just going to push it in there. And depending on how chubby you want your little guy to be, if you want to use more stuffing, you can. Now this ear looks like it's going to give me a little bit of a hard time. So I'm going to put that stuffing, and I don't This is why it's important that you make sure your whatever you made is nice and dry. In fact, I let this dry overnight. But looks like it's going in there pretty well. Now that I'm going to do this part, it's a bigger section, so I can use a bigger chunk of my paper. Okay, and then more. Remember again, you don't want to be too hasty. You want to take your time because you don't want to rip your little guy after you did all this work. By the way, any of you that know Vivian from childcare, her brother Felix is the one that gave me this idea. He made a bunch of really cool little creatures. Okay, now when you get down to the bottom, you might want to start using some smaller pieces of paper again. And remember, yours might be in color, which would be really cute. Okay, once you have what you think is probably ample stuffing, now you see your next job is you got to get it out of the way, but you're going to want to glue the opening that you had. You need to close it on up. So what I'm going to do is come back in with my glue. I'm just going to carefully, remember, you don't need a lot, but I'm just going to try to get close to the edge. If you absolutely don't have glue, I know it's hard because we're trying not to buy things that we don't need at the store right now. So if you have to use a stapler or tape, that's okay. Try not to use a stapler though, just because sometimes those staples can really hurt your little hands. Okay, so as you can see, this is a part where you're going to have some patience. You're going to want to, again, use the warmth of your hands. And you're just going to have to sit there and think about life while you're holding this down. I'm a little bummed out because I guess I didn't get a lot of stuffing in here, but he's pretty cute, isn't he? Okay, so I'm going to set him aside to dry. In fact, you might want to put something a little bit heavy on here on the edge, the very edge. So I'm going to set this over on my table and put something on the side. Okay, now I'm going to guide you through this guy. Okay, so when I was young, maybe a little older than you guys are, I must have seen this sun someplace because I remember I used to draw it all the time. So what you're going to want to do, I'm going to guide you through this. You're going to want to, I don't know why, but I just prefer to work on top of 2 pieces of paper. I know it sounds silly, but it just feels like it's a little bit more padding. Okay, what you're going to want to do is make as close to a perfect circle as you can. So what you can do is just start really lightly. And my kids, you guys have seen me do this before. Go lightly until you get it how you want it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, at this point, if you would like, you can pause and you can find, if you have like a plate or, here, let me get something that I have that might work. My husband's coffee lid. Okay, so this might work. So you could take something round if you really are a perfectionist and you want your sun to be perfectly round. I think it looks nice either way. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do then is just kind of erase the marks that you don't want. So why don't you take a minute and draw your circle and erase some of your marks. And remember, as we're working, you can always pause to get caught up. Okay, now we're going to make these little things. So what I do is I just start like this. I go up, around, and like that. Okay, and I'm just going to start making some of these. And while I'm making mine, you can start making yours too. And again, if you want to pause so you can really study the shape of this, feel free. The fun thing about the art project, I think that's going to happen is, I hope, if you have maybe a younger sibling or a slightly older, or maybe your parents, you guys could do this together. Okay, I have a little bit of a large spot here, but it might be too small to do. So I'm just going to do kind of a bigger one right there. All right, not bad. Okay, so this sun is kind of stylized. Remember when we did enemy pie? We kind of stylized it. So the first thing that we're going to do is make the nose. So what I want you to do is you're going to make what look like two kind of inverse parentheses like that. Okay, they almost look like a slight smile. Pause if you need to. Okay, so now we're going to kind of make the nostrils. They're going to look a little big, but that's okay. Okay, and then you come down here and you go like that, and you go like that, and then your nose looks like that. All right, and then this is, you know how just below your nose, everybody has that. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the mouth, and again, we're going to kind of stylize it. So then you can go like this. And just make it, it kind of looks like the Joker. It's a little bit weird, but. And then come down here and kind of do that again. Go up to the corner and go like that. And then you can kind of go like that. And then I like to, well, we're going to do, don't worry, we will be doing the eyes. I like to do like a kind of cheeks like that, like rosy cheeks. Okay. All right, for the eyes, I like to make them, you know, a little bit big and kind of out close to the edge a little bit, sort of like enemy pie. You're going to make an almond shape and then like a marble on the inside. And, you know, when you, if there's somebody in the room with you, look at their face, and obviously we don't look like that. And what you need to do is put an eyelid like that. Then come back in and just erase the top part of the marble. Okay, come back and do this. And actually, I think I'm going to make the mouth a little bit smaller because I forgot that I want to leave space for a little bit of a chin. So I'm actually going to start over on the mouth. Sorry about that. Okay, and just kind of make like a circle like that. A little bit goofy looking. If you want to come back in your eyes and do some eyelashes, I don't want to go crazy because that can start to look funny. And then I'm going to come back over to the other side straight across. Try to make your eyes about the same size as best as you can. Make your marble again. And then your eyelid. And then erase the top of the marble. Okay, we're going to make eyebrows. So I just kind of go like that. All right, now we've got our sun. Anything that you need to kind of go over and fix a little bit, now's the time to do that. and you can color. And I always think it's kind of cool to do, you know, warm, hot colors like orange, red, yellow. And I do want to be honest, I have these watercolor tubes. I'll show you what they look like. Hang on. Okay, so I have these. I think I got them at like Joann's Fabrics or something. And what I did was I just squeezed out a teeny little bit of the colors that I wanted, because you really don't need much. I did, even though they're watercolors, I tried to use them more saturated. I didn't use very much water. And remember, they're kind of expensive, and a little goes a long way. So just squeeze a tiny little bit. But that's only if you use these. You do not have to do that. Markers are fine, crayons, anything that you have will be good. Okay, so I'm going to move this aside and just go right to this. Glad I have that already. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to kind of go over some of my lines. I'm not going to use Sharpie because sometimes I think that can be a little severe. But the dark pencil just makes things pop out a little bit better. And I forgot eyebrows, so let me put those in. What I'm going to try to do, I talked with Mrs. Flatter and Mrs. Cohen about this, and I'll talk to Mr. Belinga, but I want to try to get like a Padlet so that after we do our projects on Friday, you guys will have some place to go in and post your projects so all of us can see. That would be nice. Probably it should just be you though, not your siblings, just because I don't know how that works, but I don't know if there would be space, but I don't know how that works, so we'll look into it. Okay, and then I'm going to go over all of these little sunshine rays also. I just think it looks cool. And if you want to use Sharpie, that's fine too, or you can just use black marker. And I've talked a lot this year about I love to use marker, and I could do the same with this. I love to use marker and then go back over and do some shading. Remember how we did that with our big giant robots? So you guys are really good at it. But I just sort of like to add a little depth. Okay, there's that. And then I think it would look good to go around the edge of my sun again. And I like to move my paper so I can just sort of arc my hand around like that. Just for some reason, it just makes it easier. Takes a while, but it's almost done. Yeah, that just kind of made it pop a little bit, so I like that. But again, going back to what I was talking about, I'm going to take a couple of crayons and just show you what I mean by sort of going over. Hang on. Maybe I'll use colored pencil. I have those too. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to just see what happens when I go like this. Yeah, even just the orange marker kind of going over and just sort of giving a little bit of depth where you think it might look good. It's up to you. My kids, you've seen me do this before, the cross hatching. This kind of adds a nice effect. Maybe I'll take a little bit of red. I'm going to try this crayon. That's what's fun about art. You can just kind of try different things. Oh yeah, that's cool. Try different things as you go along. Just give those cheeks a little bit of a pop. Same with the mouth. I'm going to kind of try to make it look a little bit 3D. Sort of go around the edges a little bit. Same with the other cheek. Okay. Anyway, you can work on this as long as you want and try to make it look nice. All right, once you finish, time to cut your little guy out. Now, I do recommend, I guess you guys call it bubble cutting. Sometimes I call it free form cutting, but I think it's helpful for when you do your gluing to kind of do bubble cutting a little bit. Don't go too crazy with it though. But I'm going to cut this out just so I have a little more surface to put glue on, and then when I stuff. And it doesn't have to be perfect because since we colored this, it's just really going to stand out. And one kind of neat thing about this is I envision maybe when you get done with this, it would just be really a cheerful thing to put this up like on your bedroom wall, or you could even put it up on the refrigerator so that if it's a day, well, today it's a little gloomy. If it's a day like today that's a little gloomy, a little bit of sunshine always helps. Okay, almost done. You can always come back in and get a little bit that you missed. Okay, so again, like I showed you before with this little guy, what you're going to want to do is flip your sun over. At this point, I have a little bit of a mess, and I always talk to my students about it. They probably get annoyed, but I like to kind of tidy up my spot. I like to throw scraps away, move my pencils over, my markers, get things out of the way because I don't want to mess up. So I'm going to go throw my little scraps in my recycle. I'm going to take my scissors away, have a drink of my coffee. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do is take your glue again. And don't forget to leave an open spot, but you don't want to go right up to the edge. And again, you do not need very much glue. Honestly, I don't know why, but I always feel like things actually glue together better when you do use less. It's probably just my imagination, but okay, so don't forget to leave an open. I'm going to leave probably this much open. There. Okay. All right, you're going to have to kind of figure out, like, yeah, I think that lines up right like that. So just going to lay it. And like I said earlier, if you need to kind of slide it, right now is the time to do it while it's still a little wet. Okay, now you got to do the same thing. You have to be patient. You want to use the warmth from your hands to kind of go like this. If you did use any watercolor or something that's still wet, then you're going to want to wait till it's dry. See, I didn't even match up perfectly. You can kind of see that right there, but that's okay. Okay, so where did my open? Here's my open spot. Plenty big so that I can start tearing my paper and stuffing it, all right? What I should have done was made a total, complete, finished sun so that I don't have to waste time doing this. But so you're just going to want to carefully, again, just keep kind of crinkling your paper so it gets a little bit softer. And if you're really worried about it, and it's okay with the adult that's there, and they do have paper towel, it is okay with them, or toilet paper. That's up to you. But you're going to just start carefully stuffing your sun. And when it's done, when you get it all stuffed, you know what you have to do. Glue, put it back together, and then put your little guy up somewhere. All right. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have fun. You can make any shape that you want. You can make it like a little family even. All right. We'll see you later.